Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing poet authors of a new book that we have coming out. This one is called 100 Poems and Possibilities for Healing. And I'm excited to say that I am the lead author of this one this time, you guys. I can't believe we haven't done a poetry collection before now. Like, this has been a passion of mine since I was a teenager. I have 5 self-published books of poetry and use poems in almost everything I do to help inspire people and help them feel this connection to something much bigger than them. And I have 30 fellow poets who have joined me for this book collection. And oh my gosh, you guys, thank you for being here today. I'm going to introduce you in a moment, but thanks for not just for saying yes, but for getting why this collection and collaboration is so powerful. These pages are soul filled, and I cannot wait to share them with you. So I have Ashley Hall with me. She is a yoga teacher and embodiment guide for transformative healing and self-discovery. David McLeod is a certified master life coach who supports middle-aged men and women to clear unconscious limiting beliefs in order to transform their lives into magnificent works of art. Miko Reed is a soul-stirring poet, author, and curator who seeks to inspire women to overcome barriers and to embrace their authentic, best self. And Nydia Lesa Stone is a global somatic therapist and coach, a master teacher of the healing arts, yoga, and tantra, an accredited holistic healer, and passionate guide of your transformation and joyful living. Oh my goodness, thank you all so much for being here. Okay, Ashley, let's start this party off with you, girl. Tell us a little bit about the why behind this chapter for you.
So I did Align with Your Inner Truth as my chapter title. I'm chapter 19. And for me, I think all of us go through a point in our lives or different stages of our lives where something about where we're choosing to be and how we're showing up in the world isn't aligning with where we know we want to be and how we know we want to be in the world. And I think for me, this was a time in my life that I was going through and asking some of those deeper questions for myself of like, am I just following the status quo in life, and feeling this like burning inner passion inside of me that was calling me to do something more. And I think in my chapter, I kind of go through how that shows up in my career. And then in the poems, kind of more deeply in connection with my relationships and like showing up in my fullest expression and embracing the full spectrum of me and who I am.
That's a warrior's path. That's not easy. It's scary a little bit sometimes. How did you move through the fear to into the expression?
Mhm. I think continuing to follow what was lighting me up along the way, because it's easy to get bogged down by distractions and other people's voices. But I think that there's that deeper inner flame that kind of calls to us, that whisper inside that I think always is there when we slow down to listen to it.
For you, what was the feeling? For me, it's like, I feel excitement. My posture actually improves. Like I am in it all the way. My body reacts. What is it for you?
Yeah, for me, it just feels like this aliveness, this expansion. I mean, even just knowing how I talk about it, tells me a lot about when I get animated, when I get excited. So that, just shows me when I'm in my full expression.
Yeah, and I love that. I love hearing you all talk about it too, because I know in the beginning there had to be an awareness process to wake me up. I had to know the difference between that thing that you're describing and this other thing I had been living that was a little bit more zombie-ish,
Hmm.
And so like your all's awareness practices are badass. You've been able to discern, wake up, figure it out, and then use it as a compass. Again, warrior's path. Anything else you want to say about that?
I think that's good for me.
Okay. Ashley, thank you so much for being here today. David, how about you? Tell us a little why behind this chapter of yours.
Interesting. The first thing I'd like to say is I started writing poetry, well, when I was about 12 years old, I think, a very long time ago. And most of my poems just kind of fell into the dustbin of old memories, that I think that's where a lot of our poems end up. And I have been challenged over the years. I've been doing lots of personal growth work since around 1997. And in the course of doing that, I found journaling as a powerful way of getting down to the truth of who I am. And it turned out that a lot of these journal pieces kind of had a very poetic nature to them. And I kind of extracted them out and started keeping them separate as poems. And so I ended up writing this chapter 26, Soul Sessions, Poetry as Therapy. And for me, that's exactly what it has been. It's been a way for me to explore some of my own truth, to learn more about who I am, to come into deeper connection with my soul essence. And yeah, like I said, I've written a lot of poems. I did at one time get brave enough to publish a book of my own poems. I probably sold 20 or 30 copies of that, which is fine because I really wasn't looking to get out into the mainstream, But you came along with this idea and said, all right, who wants to write some poems? And I thought, okay, this is my time to really share some of the truth of who I am. And that's really the why, I guess. I wanted to take advantage of the opportunity, share a little bit more about who I am, and not be quite so nervous about it.
And I am so glad that you did. All right, so backing up to, you aren't a first-time published author for poetry. This isn't, you've had a rodeo before this. And so that also, I believe, is a warrior's path. Everything that we do around here as a company is on this foundation of the idea that writing and publishing and sharing out loud is a healing journey. And you made that move with your poetry book before this. Oh my gosh, what did it take for you to get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this? Take some courage.
Yeah, I definitely had to do some inner work to get to that stage where I would be willing to do this. But the way I ended up writing this book, I had several other men in my life who were doing work, alongside me in their own way. And several of them, I identified 4 men who were artists. They were very, very gifted at capturing the essence of words and putting them into some kind of an artistic format. And so we had agreed that I was going to write 32 poems, and each one would have an image associated with it. Well, it turned out that the other men weren't quite as willing to go to the depths as I was. And so I ended up having only 8 images generated. But it was enough for me to put the book out anyway, because I thought it was really beautiful. The artwork that I got from these guys, only 2 of them actually, 2 men actually completed the work. The artwork was brilliant, and they really helped to augment the stories that I was trying to share. And I felt a lot less exposed when we had the combination. So even that was a kind of a collaboration.
I love it. That's actually my story as well, you guys, because with 5 self-published books of poetry, the first one was a combo with my artist friends too. David, I don't know that you and I had ever talked about that story. So, and I had this similar feeling. It's like, all right, let's do this together. We can be brave together,
Right.
David, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Miko, tell us about a little why behind your chapter. And let's make sure and unmute you first, my dear. Unmute.
Okay.
There we go. We got you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So the why behind my chapter is it's it's a bit of a trigger warning. When I was 14, I was a victim of sexual assault, and it's a whole story behind that, but not to go into detail in that, but essentially that is what started me on a path to writing. And I remember I was in junior high school, and it was an after school program, and they might as well. And when the program was over, the guest creative writer teacher came to me and said, "Hey, it's like you have a talent. You should pursue that. I want you to come, 3 days a week." And I'm like, "All right." And that has guided me to learn how to deal with problems. Poetry saved my life, because I literally didn't see a future for myself. I just thought, bad things happen and nothing can come from it. But poetry helped me see that, I can process some things, and I can become whole again by pouring into myself the way I feel and talking about it. And so that's the beginning of how I started writing poetry.
I love so much that you're talking about a positive experience with a mentor, a teacher. And so much of what I hear is the other direction. It's a negative comment that takes us in another direction. So I love hearing the person that encouraged you by saying that to you. Poetry for me in school was like, the rules, it killed it for me, right? And I wonder for some of you if that was a similar thing, but writing your way through trauma and beyond is also quite a thing. And I think that when you say it saved my life, that is a really intense, amazing thing to say. What else do you want to tell people about that?
It kind of broke up a little bit. I think I'm going to repeat the question. You said, what else did I want to tell people about writing my way through trauma?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Yep, you got it.
Okay. So I guess I could say the funny thing about it is, so I'm chapter 22 in this amazing collaboration of artists and poetry book. Another trauma was divorce that just happened this year. And so the title of my chapter is 5 Ways to Be Unstoppable After a Divorce. And the foundation of, like I said, poetry is, for me, helping me get through trauma. And this is a traumatic experience for me, 18 years of marriage, and it's like 2 kids, and now all of a sudden I'm a single mom. And you can't just sit there. You have to pull yourself up. Well, how do you do that? Well, let me write some poetry. Let me, journaling is a thing. Let me meditate, and let me go through this process. And now I feel like when you get the book, because I know you'll get the book, you'll see how it has helped me and helped me understand the process to get out of this grief and into like a happy space for myself. Poetry has done that as well. So trauma transformed into something that is actually becoming such a beautiful thing for me.
Thank you for sharing. It's also, it's funny, we all have so much in common, but that's also part of my story in terms of divorce. And I would love to ditto what Miko is saying about poetry, but really even just about journaling, you guys, because it doesn't have to be poetry, and people get so afraid of it having to be something, right? And then they don't do it because they're not a poet, or they're not an artist, or they're not a whatever. But everybody is a poet. Everyone's a healer. Everyone's an artist. It's the energy that's moving through you that is what matters. Miko, thank you so much for being here today and being a part of this. Nydia, tell us a little of the why behind your chapter.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I can only join the club in a way, because I think we all come from the same roots to poetry. So for me, it was also my childhood experiences. I had very strong reactions to words, to the spoken word, to vibration of words, even as a very young child. and one of these words was Shambhala. I heard that I was 11 years old. I had no idea what that is, but it anchored itself into my body in such a physical, sensational way that it became one of my magic spells. And so, and with a lot of words and poetry that I heard, I reacted in a very non-cognitive way to it. So and I took the lessons. I mean, it was actually poetry, like the old poets and the old stories that made me, that taught me ethics. It taught me to step out between these spaces in between the words and discover whole dimensions. Words were kind of gateways for me to my inner sacred landscape in a way. So they were my protective medicine. I used words, I wrote them on papers, and I wrote them on pieces of wood and in the earth and everywhere. And they were kind of my talisman. They were my elixir of resilience and survival in a way. So when I spoke some words, they were like sacred spells. And it's a bit like, in the beginning was the word. So that's not just taken out of the air, although it has a religious background. But when you go way further back than religion, codes and spells and in shamanic rituals, etc., the kind of invocations that I do, for instance, when I do shamanic ceremonies, and calling in spirit and calling out for help or whatever you do, these words are so powerful. And I believe, and I know now, this is what I work with, is the vibration of these words, the vibration, the sound, and what it does and how it anchors into our somatic body and connects us with an old and ancient wisdom that we all carry and that we can work with and that can save us, that can embrace us and lead us and guide us out of trauma, out of feeling small, out of feeling victimized, out of shame. For me, it was like that. Words, like when they started building this foundation and build the connection to this ancient wisdom, I got up, I grew, and I stepped into resilience. I stepped into rebellion when I was 11 through words, because I claimed and reclaimed my power. I reclaimed my dignity. I reclaimed my sovereignty, my personal sovereignty. And so this is how I came to poetry, and it's been a guide for me and a sort of expression like art that accompanied me all of my life.
Oh, it for sure is an expression of art. I can't wait to share all your poems with our readers. I love something Nydia said a couple of minutes ago, the spaces between the words. There's whole galaxies in the spaces, right? I had a coach, a performance coach, say to me once, let a line breathe. And that's the space. It's the spaces between where we give the listener or the reader a moment, an opportunity to feel. And feeling is that healing, right? So this is no small potato stuff to me. This is big potato stuff. David, tell me what the most important thing you want people to know about poetry is.
The most important thing I believe people should know about poetry is that it's part of your soul's blood. If you give yourself the freedom to express from the soul rather than from the mind, amazing wisdom will come through to you. And that is poetry in its very purest form. It may not have all the cadence and the rhyme and the rhythm that we associate with the formal definitions of poetry, but believe me, it is poetic in nature. So that's what I believe the truth is. Poetry is the soul, the spirit, the essence speaking through you and to you.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the soul's blood. I love that. I hadn't heard that before. And yes, please, people, there's no rules to this. You will have poems that rhyme. You'll have poems that don't. You'll have poems with one line, and you'll have poems with 1,000 lines, and you'll have poems of all shapes and sizes and ways. And I think that's one of the biggest things I wanted to publish was all of your very unique and powerful voices and ways of showing the world what poetry is, right? Miko, what is the most important thing you want people to know about poetry?
I kind of want to steal David's line. That was so like that was so dope. But along that same vein, just that poetry is everything that you feel, everything that you live, the air that you breathe, the way that you move. It becomes a part of you. I used to do this after school workshop with high school students, and they had that whole mindset that it has to rhyme on an A and a C, and it's like, no, it doesn't. It does not have to rhyme. It only needs to make sense to you, and you only need to understand that what you're putting out is what you're sharing with the world. It is yourself. So what I want people to know is that poetry is you. I mean, it's literally you. It's who you are.
I love that. And what a gift you all are giving people to share yourself like this on your pages, right? It's a little window into that soul's blood. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Nydia, what do you want to add? What's the one thing you want people to know about poetry? And unmute, make sure you unmute.
I would just say, don't, like with anything else, with any other expression, don't take a form, don't have an idea about how it should be. Just start with one word, with one syllable, with one sound, and let that pour out. It's an expression, it comes out of us. So like movement, as I very often combine movement with the word and the sound, because this seems to be the natural way for me, like dancing or moving, singing, telling poetry. For me, this all connects in a way. It's our way for liberation. It's our way for creation. It's our way for just finding maybe ourselves, the root, who we are, of how we want to be, of letting go of things. Of course, it's a wonderful tool to let go of trauma, to let go and access even trauma and traumatic experiences. But mainly it leads us, if we allow it, it leads us into something positive. It leads us into the creation of a reality that we want to have.
Oh my goodness, you guys. This is I think, a profound portal to self-discovery. And you all are saying similar things in terms of like what that is for you. Ashley, what would be that one thing you want people to know about poetry?
Yeah, for me, it's a way of bringing my inner world into form. And I love that the words can be almost a mirror to what's resonating inside of me. And to be able to put that on paper, for me, that's a space for it to be receive, to be seen, to be heard, when I put those words out there and I see them like come onto my journaling pages, it's just really helps me. It gives me a container. It helps me feel like my words have somewhere to go, and that I'm seen in this way that's almost, it's interesting because there's not like, it's not like having a conversation where it's just a place for it to be received and nothing more. So I love that about it.
And you made me think about the word vulnerable
Mm.
and intimate.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, these authors and poets, they give gifts to you when they write their poems, but also when they decide to share, especially when they have made a decision to publish, and next when they are going to actually read them for you. So Miko, you're going to be up first. I can't wait, you guys, for you to share these and to hear them. When a poet puts the vibration of their voice to the words that moved through them from that bigger place, I mean, can you imagine anything more juicy? You ready, Miko?
Yes. Okay. I'm going to do, it's called ISOD. It's called I'm Scared of Dying. I'm scared of dying. Not in the way that you may think, not in the car accident or plane crashing way. Let me be frank. Like scared of dying while alive. Alive and still dead. Still. Like crocodiles hovering under shallow waters at the cusp of dawn. Imminent death. Alive, like volcanoes on the edge of eruption. Fire brewing inside. Dead. Like I'm a walking, talking shell of myself, of what I'm capable of my joys, of my dreams alive. I'm scared of being too scared to be free, that I'm going to be drowned by my inner history. Y'all know, the one that shaped me, the one that I tried to keep a mystery, too scared to recreate me. I'm scared of dying, y'all, of being alive and not being able to see, but seeing the old me, watch the new me, easy like the breeze, easy like a cover girl, carefree, like a cloud far away in the sky, untouchable. I'm scared of dying while alive. Thank you.
Okay, in the poetry world, yeah, we do snaps, we do claps, we can do a shimmy wave, whatever. I'll invite all my authors to shimmy wave at Miko right now. That was awesome. Thank you, Miko. Thank you for going first on those. Oh, yes, I love it. I love hearing it. I love hearing the rhythm, the cadence, the soul that moves through as the poet actually speaks the words. I wrote about open mic therapy. That was what I wrote about in my chapter, and it is big therapy to do this out loud. Nydia, how about you? You ready to go?
I guess I will have to be. Okay. So this is a poem that is also about actually my divorce, or the life before and after or during. And it says, today I walk in beauty, scars to serenity and pain to power. You showered me with roses and razor blades. In your wicked laboratory, you were running your experiments on me, measuring, observing, with your distant, detached mind of a scientist. I could feel your excitement about every scream escaping my soul and the burns and scars you left on me. My skin was getting worn and raw, ripping open in the most delicate and vulnerable places. My womanhood, my sacred feminine, my flower, my heart, my soul. Always taking notes, loving gentleness in measured doses. You played me on the puppet strings of my own neediness. My woundings of a child, keeping me in the destructive cycles of your games because I had once learned that this is love. But I disentangled from your surgeon's grip and calculated cruelty. Ancient powers stirred within my core, my womb, resilience. No longer the submissive marionette, I ceased to dance to your manipulations, becoming unchained. Once a willing dancer in the wicked walls of an abusive narcissist, I now remember how to weave my tapestry of sovereignty. With flames of courage, dignity of heart, I recognize that love is not synonymous with pain. Thank you for shattering this part of me which only could respond to these old scars. So I could shed my skin and the skins of all my sisters, mothers, grandmothers, my entire lineage. Ancient ones, thank you for the blessing. I stripped naked, layer by layer, invited my demons right into my life, so they can't come and trigger me out of the blue. You watched the phoenix rising and tried so hard to punish me. But I did find the key. I learned to loosen your grip and chains with the forces of forgiveness and set myself free. Today, the power is mine. I smile at you and your attempts. Your words have lost their razor-cutting edges. They have no power over me because today I write my own words on my destiny. Today, I smile at you and walk away. A teasing swing in my hip, a smile glistening in my eye, joy in my heart and a song in my soul. Today, I walk in beauty, and the power is mine.
Love it, Nydia. Powerful. Oh my gosh, I was trying to write and there were too many powerful lines, so I just stopped trying to write them all down. Plus, I get to read this later too. I'm like, oh, I love those lines in there. Okay, Ashley, you're up next. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
So my poem is called Will You Love My Messy? Will you love my messy? Acknowledge my broken. See my wild, unbridled spirit. Dance with me barefoot under the moonlight. Will you show me your shame, your insecurities, with tears running down your face, in all the ways you have held yourself back from that which you truly desire? Will you tell me the stories of your scars, sitting around the crackling campfire? Let us take sledgehammers to the walls we've built up. See the playful child inside of ourselves. Stare deep into one another's eyes until we see nothing more than our own fragile humanity. Will you hear the parts of me that never felt safe to have a voice? Listen to her patiently and tenderly. Will you kiss me in all the right places, all the parts of me that didn't feel the love they so longed for? Can we celebrate in the beauty and vulnerabilities that make us human? I do not want to live in a box, painted pretty and admired by those who take the well-traveled path. Will you be the wind in my sails, so we may travel together to far and exotic places, to break free of all that we know? Shatter our worldviews and see everything through the eyes of a child, an insatiable curiosity that paints color across a gray sky. Looking within ourselves and exploring the infinite possibilities of this existence. Show me your messy, the parts of yourself that are hidden away, that don't feel worthy of love. Let us fill those places together with laughter and compassion. Will you let me crack you open and discover all the complexities that exist within you? The vulnerabilities, the heartache, the desires, the experiences, the unique emotional blueprint that is you. Will you let me shower you with love? Can we ride the waves of thinking we know ourselves and savoring the mystery of knowing we are so much more? Can we dive deep inside of ourselves, discovering the impressions from our past? Can you sit with me through the discomfort of the unknown, patiently, attentively, to what is forming inside of me? That which hasn't quite been put into words. Can you show me your weird, and I'll show you mine, so that we might remember what it's like to play and create like children, that we might shed all conditioning, naked and unafraid, and rediscover our true essence once again.
Ashley, thank you. Oh my goodness. I'll give you the finger wave and the snaps and the claps. Can we ride the wave of thinking we know ourselves? All right. David, are you ready?
Yes. So this is the fourth poem in my chapter. I think it's the shortest one. It's called Legacy. I want to be remembered for my awareness of who I am, for the expressiveness of my soul, for the aliveness of my deepest essence. I want to be remembered for visions and dreams, for generous sharings of deepest truth, for loving without excuse or limitation. I want to be remembered for lofty, floating thoughts that pass through me, smooth as blood, coarse as muslin, brief as a light flicker, that cling to nothing and care not at all, and never crack under pressure. Let no authoritarian decide things on my behalf. Let no authoritarian presume to know me. Let no authoritarian control my fate. Let no authoritarian control anything. In every town, from equator to subtundra, people will have rejoiced and been rejoiced for the way they have lived life, not quietly, not subserviently, but brashly and unabashedly, without regret. People will be remembered by those who have chosen not to remember themselves, by those who wish they had chose differently. I am among them, and I want to remember it all. I want to remember it all, and I want to be remembered for all. This is the key to my everythingness.
I love it, David. Thank you for sharing. Oh my goodness, powerful poetry. Thank you all so much for not just for saying yes to this project, but for doing that, for sharing those beautiful gifts. Really amazing. All right, I have one. We're going to do the speed round question on this last one. Okay, so I need your one sentence version of the answer. I know you all are going to be like, no way can I do this in one sentence, but I want you to try. Nydia, if you had to pick one simple step to practice on a day where everything feels impossible and overwhelm is kicking in, what would you share today? You know, talking to our listeners, what would that practice be?
My practice in these moments is to walk out in nature, to immerse in earth energy, to go into the ocean, let the ocean burst me, to go out and make a fire, dance around it, and scream and drum and stamp the earth, whatever it needs to get this energy moving. to get this energy not stagnate within my system, not stagnate within my heart, not paralyze me, not occupy and go round and round and round in my mind. Move it, move the energy and connect to bigger forces like earth energy, to bigger forces like the elements. Open myself up and go on a mountaintop, let the wind blow through me. That's what I would do.
I love it. I love starting off the answer to this question with that nature connection. I would imagine all of you have some of the nature connection. Yeah. Ashley, how about you? What would be that one practice you want to share when you're in a day where just everything just feels impossible?
Lately, I've been really enjoying dance parties in my living room. Sometimes I'll FaceTime one of my friends, just put on whatever song is calling to me and just dance it out. And oftentimes I'll be like, well, just one song, just press play and just move. And it'll turn into 3, 4, I've been having like early morning rave parties trying to like tone it down for my neighbors because like, just wake up with that energy and, especially just when I need to move or when I feel like I'm getting too heady. Dance just is that free form of expression, gets me into that creative expression, and it's been very therapeutic for me lately.
I love it. I love both of these so far. The nature and music, yes, to music and dancing. David, what's your version of this?
We are told by spiritual teachers that we need to learn to love ourselves. My invitation is to take a risk and demonstrate to the world that you love yourself. The next time you're in the middle of a theater watching a movie, stand up and shout at the top of your lungs, "I love me." Then quietly sit down. When the movie is over and you go home, write a poem about that experience.
That's a good challenge. Oh my gosh, we might have to start a revolution with that one, David. All right, Miko, you are going to close us out on your version of this. What would you say to someone that's having a day and everything just feels impossible?
Okay, I would say pick your song that gives you the most, and I'm going to use your word, Laura, the most badass feeling ever, where you feel like you can conquer the world. Take it, put it in your AirPods or whatever, go outside, do a walk or run or whatever, but the key is fresh air. And then come back in, have your, for me it's black coffee, because I don't use sugar anymore. So it's, black coffee, and set my alarm for 10 minutes to just write whatever. It might be amazing, it might suck, but I'm getting those jitters out and I'm feeling like close to who I am, poetry. So yeah, like get outside, get some fresh air, come back in, sip your tea or coffee, set your alarm for 10 minutes and write that shit out.
Yeah. You know, I'm a fan of that one. Like if you can write, you are going to move some energy. And all of you talked about something that shifts the energy. And that is the key, everyone, to this, right? And I hope in this book, 100 Poems and Possibilities for Healing, I don't hope, I know you're going to have so many ways to do that. Even just picking up the book and reading one poem is a shift. That is the gift of what we're going to offer here. Authors David, Nydia, Miko, Ashley, thank you so much for what you do in the world. And thank you for being here today to share it with everyone. Thanks to everyone.
Thank you.
So listeners, please, I know you heard something today that maybe gave you the goosebumps. Maybe you have a question. Maybe you want to continue the conversation. This is way more than a book. This is a generous community of artists and authors and poets and entrepreneurs. Slide on down to the show notes. I have them all hooked up with their websites there. There's connection links. You can explore what they're up to. It's a lot and it's amazing. So I highly recommend you take that connection to the next level with all of our authors. And please join us for the book launch party. We're going to be together on Zoom January 12th in the new year. I'm going to be celebrating with all of the author poets of 100 poems and possibilities for healing. We're going to be dropping some wisdom and inspiration for you that day. And if you're listening to this interview around that date or beyond, that just means you can hop over to Amazon and grab your copy of this beautiful book. Lastly today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.